public schools if you're not happy with them, if you're worried about education, your kid may be being a little propagandized by the liberals, you can get them into an alternative school. And Kensington Woods is a STEM, has a big STEM program, so reach out to them, 517-545-0828. There are alternatives, and it bothers me when people say they have to do the public school system. You don't. There are so many alternatives out there today.
And homeschooling.
And homeschooling. And there's some online schools now, I noticed, too. So plenty to do, plenty to talk about, as we are talking about today. Let's kind of jump into the continued witch hunt. We're still seeing the Democrats looking at Trump, starting their investigations on the congressional side now that they're in charge. They didn't get what they wanted out of the Mueller probe and the report. Isn't it amazing how they can just go from loving Mueller to all of a sudden they hate Mueller? I can't wait for him to testify. When is he going to testify? Do you think that's going to happen soon?
Well, hopefully, but it's amazing. They spent 2 years and I don't know how many $1 million investigating the non-scandal of the Trump election and quote-unquote Russian collusion, and they found nada, nothing.
Yeah, here's what really bothers me the most, right? So you spend all that money, $35 million, 19-plus lawyers who were all pro-Hillary supporters, right? 40-odd FBI agents there to back them up and do their bidding. You would have thought they would have at least been able to manufacture some kind of evidence against Trump. How clean must this guy really be? I mean, sure, he's maybe not the most politically correct guy in the world, but how clean must you be to go through that kind of – and they cooperated. And Trump's now saying, I'm done cooperating. I've given you guys everything. I gave you 2 years. And now you want to start subpoenaing my people. It's time to invoke executive privilege. And that's what the Democrats will bang on from now until 2020, right?
Right. Well, I hope they waste the remaining time in the Congress on trying to prove something that didn't happen with the Trump administration. Because then the American people say, what have you done for me? What have you done for America to help America be great again? And they'll go to the polls, and I think the election results will reflect it, and they're going to be some sad campers at the end of the road.
Yeah, I'm praying every day that we'll get the House back, and that we'll have another shot at Republican House, Republican Senate with Donald Trump still in the White House. And this time, for crying out loud, Republicans, don't waste the 2 years. Right? If you pick up the House and you still have the Senate, utilize it. Let's get things passed that really need to be passed, and you won't have to worry about Democrats in 2022. Let's take a call from Gary in Hazel Park wants to talk about Joe Biden. Gary, welcome to the show.
Hey, gentlemen. When Gropin' Joe came out on his announcement that he was going to actually run for president, one of the things he said that he and the Democrats were fighting for the soul of America. Now, let's get this straight. The Democrat Party is a party of sodomy, homosexual marriage, and they actually have a man right now running for president who has a man partner. Can you imagine the disgrace to have those two living in the residence in the White House?
But it's interesting, Gary, that you bring up the soul, that he came right out and said, we're fighting for the soul. You know what? Well, taking what you just said and taking it a step farther, the Democrats, as Walter always says, the Democrats are looking for your soul, America. They're looking to devour your soul. That's what's happening.
Well, sure. And see, they're also a party of abortion, open borders, with the bringing all the diseases into our country, pot for everybody, and war on the faith. I mean, there's no question about it. That remember what they did to the Little Sisters of the Poor. Yeah. And those folks.
Well, unless you're a Muslim, Gary, then it's perfectly okay. They're going to help you propagandize that.
Well, sure, they should. It's a free country.
Well, the one thing you neglected to say is that their radical positions on abortion is just unbelievable. I would have never have thought a couple of years ago that the Democrats would be advocating killing babies after they were physically born, and it's things like that just drive me up a wall.
Well, once you hit a point, let's say an apex, and then you got to step out and make yourself a little bit more radical than the last guy, and match or be better than his apex. You got to be just a bit more retarded.
Yeah. Well, so, Gary, let me ask your opinion while you're here then. What do you think the Democrats' next steps are going to be on the Mueller report? You think they're just going to carry on with this craziness and keep investigating?
Yeah, of course they are. Because they've spent 2 years of their lives yapping on about it. And if they stop now, that means they have to admit that they were terribly, horribly wrong and that they're losers. And they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great call, Gary. I appreciate it. We'll hopefully get you in here, unless you're sitting in the parking lot and coming in with Pastor Rick.
Not today. Not today, my friend.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good one.
All right.
All right. So he makes a good point, right? They're coming after your souls, America. And I don't think that's just something he picked out of the blue. I honestly believe they're looking for your soul. And that should scare people.
Well, I think they're trying to destroy traditional values so they could better control the people of America.
Yeah.
If you don't have any values to sort of anchor the way you live, then anything's game, you know?
They can instill in you any values they want.
That's right.
Be it killing babies that are unwanted after birth even. Mm-hmm. You know, and I hate to put on my tinfoil, but I always do. I still believe that there's a whole industry that, and I'm not talking just the stuff we know about. I think there's a whole underground industry of things being done with baby parts. I really do. And one of these days, there's a guy I know that I'm going to try and get on the show who goes into that. We'll do Conspiracy Saturday when we do that. But
they just seem morally bankrupt, and they shouldn't be given any positions of power.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So, talking about the Mueller probe, isn't it odd? Do you find it odd that Rosenstein, who was Deputy Director Rosenstein, was kind of the bad guy for so long there? People were looking, was he a bad guy? Is he now just turning the corner because he doesn't have any choice with Barr? You'll do what I say, or we're going to throw you under the bus. But Rosenstein made this statement about the Obama administration just the other day. Derek, you got track too? Now listen to Rod Rosenstein in response to the investigation that started on Russian collusion.
Some critical decisions about that Russia investigation were made before I got there. The previous administration chose not to publicize the full story about Russian computer hackers and social media trolls and how they relate to Russia's broader strategy to undermine America.
So that's some rare public comments now from the Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein going after the Obama administration in that clip, as well as the former FBI Director James Comey. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, Fox News contributor with me now. Sir, good morning to you. You heard that comment about critical decisions were made before I got there. How did you interpret this from Rod Rosenstein?
I thought it was a soft way of him saying basically there was a cover-up. They knew that the Russians were attempting to influence the election and attempting to hack the election. But they didn't fully disclose that to the American people, and they certainly didn't disclose it to the Trump campaign. Instead, they tried to set a trap for them. It failed. The Trump team did not take the bait, and that's the one conclusion that we can certainly come away with from $35 million worth of investigation.
Okay. So it's out there. I'm hoping AG Barr is going to take the criminal referrals from Devin Nunes seriously. He's going to look at the Hillary email investigation and maybe reopen it, go after the feces. I want to see the feces. I'm hoping that as soon as the IG's report, which is supposed to come out, I think, middle of May?
Soon.
Allegedly. And they'll probably end up pushing it back another month. They keep pushing it back. That's coming out. I'm hoping when that happens, we'll see the feces. Bring them out. Let's look at this. And let's prosecute those people who broke the law, right, in pushing through this investigation that had nothing there. I want faith in my government. I want faith in the FBI and the Department of Justice. I don't have it right now. Do you?
Well, not in the least. And during the Obama years, definitely, I didn't have faith in it. The one thing I wanted to point out is that Rosenstein, or Stein, he could have said that he could have made that comment 2 years ago. You know, So it seems to me like he's sort of covering his tracks right now, and I think the reason is because you have the new Attorney General Barr.
Yeah, I think he's under the gun, and maybe he's the one that's going to end up turning evidence. I don't know.
That'd be great.
I would hope that he would do the right thing, and I would encourage anybody in the FBI, the DOJ, if you're a line guy, an operative, an analyst, if you know something, speak up about it.
Oh yeah, there's people that know a whole bunch,
and they're scared probably to say anything because they don't want to lose their pensions and everything else. But doggone it, the Trump administration is not going to berate you for letting loose that dirt. So I don't understand. I would like to see. I'm hoping more of it comes out. I'm probably putting too much hope on this IG report. I really am. But who knows? All we can do is pray that justice will be served in this instance. I'm really praying for that.
I think they're going to uncover a whole bunch more.
Yeah. Well, you got your gut feeling about AG Barr.
So far, I like him. I know when his name first popped up, there were some questions whether or not he would take care of the job.
Right.
But so far, I am overjoyed.
Yeah, I like his demeanor. I like the way he seems like a no-nonsense guy, which, again, maybe I'm hoping too much, knock on wood, that he's going to be the guy. But I just love the way he reacts to Congress members when they get stupid and reporters when they get stupid. And I got a little clip here I just had to laugh when I listened to it. This is a reporter at a news conference for AG Barr, and she's trying to tag him as to why are you protecting the president sort of thing, right? Derek, you got track 3 ready? Let's listen to this.
Mr. Attorney General, it's not the Democrats who have questioned some of the process here. A Republican-appointed judge on Tuesday said you have, quote, created an environment that has caused a significant part of the American public to be concerned about these redactions. You cleared the president on obstruction. The president is fundraising off of your comments about spying. And here you have remarks that are quite generous to the president, including acknowledging his feelings and his emotions. So what do you say to people on both sides of the aisle who are concerned that you are trying to protect the president?
Well, actually, the statements about his sincere beliefs are recognized in the report, that there was substantial evidence for that. So I'm not sure what your basis is for saying that I'm being generous to the president.
You face an unprecedented situation. It just seems like there's a lot of effort to go out of your way to acknowledge how this.
Well, is there another precedent for it?
No, but it's unusual.
Okay, so unprecedented is an accurate description, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you?
He just, in any other situation, the Democrats are all about touchy feelings, right? Oh, it's all about the feelings. Well, in the report itself, it says Donald Trump had strong feelings. He was maybe angry. Well, who wouldn't be angry?
Oh, I would.
If you start investigating me for something that I did nothing about, how about if I go, Adam Schiff, you robbed a bank and assaulted men and women at that bank? No, I didn't. Right. Yes, you did. I believe you did. I'm going to go investigate you. You wouldn't be angry about that, Mr. Schiff? You're doggone right you'd be angry about it.
I'd be livid, and especially when this is all political. This is what it's all about. This is a coup d'etat, using the intelligence agencies and the holdovers from the Obama administration to overturn the results of the 2016 election.
Yes. All because you lost. You want to talk about sore losers. This is the epitome of, and when Donald Trump says it's a soft coup or a coup, it is a coup. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this.
It was attempted.
They were trying to bring down the president that we selected. And you may not be liking Donald Trump, but 63 million people voted, and via the Electoral College, which is what our process is, he won fair and square. It wasn't the Russians that made 63 million Americans vote for Donald Trump. It wasn't. They didn't affect any of our voting machines or anything else. That's all been cleared. And there are still so many Americans on the left who believe that the Russians won that election for Donald Trump because they affected votes. There was no effect of the votes by that.
I think the biggest effect on the election were possibly illegal voters in California. You take away California and possibly New York too,
yeah,
it's not even close.
Yeah, and the media is not the data has come back that there were millions of illegal votes across the country, many of them in California. And it's quite possible we have 3 to 5 additional congressional representatives in California